Hi guys, welcome back to my channel ArtsyPutsy with me Putty, and for today's video it's going to be a review, swatches and makeup tutorial of this look I'm wearing right here. It's from the Zodiac Collections from Colourpop and KathleenLights, and if you want to see all of that then just keep on watching. I'm very excited for this video. I've been waiting and waiting for these products to arrive. I bought this when it launched, but like I mentioned a lot of times before in my videos, it took a very long time for things to get shipped here, to be arrived. So here I am, a month or two late for this tutorial and reviews, but better late than never. That's kind of my motto here on my channel. And like I mentioned on the intro, in this video it's going to be 3 parts. The first one, review of the Zodiac Collection. The second part of the video is going to be me swatching all the products that I have here from the collections. It's going to be a hand swatch and also an eye swatch of the eyeshadow palette and the Supernova shadow. I'm also going to swatch the lipstick on my lips. And the last part of the video is going to be a makeup tutorial of this look I'm wearing right here. And if you only want to see certain part of this video, if you only want to see a review or the swatches, the eye swatches or the tutorial only, I'm going to leave a timestamp down in the description box. Everything from this collection and everything else, you know, the foundation and everything, all of that will be listed down below as well. So yeah, let's just jump into the first part of the video, which is the review. So first, before we jump into each product, I have the majority of the products from these collections. The only thing I missed is the Super Shock highlighters in Fire. I'm just going to give Colourpop and their design team and Kathleen a huge props because they did an incredible job with the packaging especially. I mean, the products itself are amazing, but the packaging, they killed it with their packaging. It's like I cannot believe with their price tag they can create something that doesn't look cheap, and they always have amazing design team. I always knew that they are so incredibly good. This particular collection just has my heart. All the packaging looks amazing and it's just fit the theme really nicely. They have this blue and deep blue and black packaging, and they have this rose gold foiled illustration for each size, and you have the name of the shades on the back. They have a lot of stars. It just looks like a midnight sky with a lot of stars and constellation in it. These Super Shock highlighters have this special blue packaging, just like the eyeshadow palette, but the inside of it is black, just like the box. And the Supernova highlighter has this black packaging, that black box. That's it's not that black box. And the Supernova Shadows packet, the box looks like this, and the inside of it just has a bunch of stars and have this really gorgeous rose gold pattern. And it really reminds me of the lipsticks from the Dream Team Lip Bundle, except that one has also a rose gold lid, but this one just has silver and rose gold. The Lux Lipsticks is just the usual tube with rose gold and with a lot of stars, but since it looks like this, it just fits the whole collection really nicely because it also has a lot of stars. So I'm just going to give the packaging for this entire collection an A+++. The first product I'm going to review more in depth is the eyeshadow palette. This is the Zodiac eyeshadow palette. It has 12 eyeshadow. It's their regular 12 pan eyeshadow palette, but this one has a mirror like I said before. And I know Kathleen received a lot of input or comments from people that they wish the Dream Street palette has a mirror inside, but because it has a mirror it's $18. The Dream Street palette was $16, where honestly when I first look at the eyeshadow palette it's kind of all over the place, and I get why people were a little bit confused with this. One, because it's not very cohesive at first glance. Two, people are a bit mad about particular shades for each signs. But I get why Kathleen picked all these shades, because she mentions she wanted to choose the color that will fit each signs, but at the same time you can create a full look with the palette, not just a bunch of random colorful shadows. And actually, if you play around with this, you'll notice that this is a very easy to use eyeshadow palette, because it's actually not that all over the place. You can create so many different looks with this palette. You know, after swatching them, after playing around with this palette, I actually think the color selection are amazing with this palette. As a palette, they have a really nice quality, but if I have to be more specific about each single shadows in this palette, they have a lot of variation in terms of formula, and I will get to that in a second. But as a whole, they are amazing. They have amazing quality. They blend really nicely, just like any other Colourpop shadow. They are a bit powdery. When you dip your brush into the pan, it will have a lot of kick up, but they blend really nicely on the eyes. They have a good pigmentation. The shimmer shadows, when they are supposed to be metallic, they will look metallic on the eyes. And you don't really have to use a wet brush. You can apply them with a dry brush and they still shows up really nicely, but with a wet brush, or if you use your finger, it will look more intense. So overall, they are really nice. So if I have to compare them to the Dream Street palette, in my opinion, in terms of color, I really love Dream Street. That is one of my favorite eyeshadow palette ever. I really love the color selection in there. It's just a gorgeous palette. But I don't know, if you don't have a lot of eyeshadow palette, this will be a really nice addition to your collection. Like, you have a lot of option on this palette, and I don't know, somehow I feel like the color selection actually is better on this palette. But formula wise, even though this works very well for me and has a really great formula just like any other Colourpop palette, I feel like there's something about it from the Dream Street palette that just blown me away. Like, the formula really stands out for me. Like, a lot of the shadows from Dream Street has a really soft, almost cloud-like formula, because I feel like maybe some color needs a different formula to be able to work. Maybe that's the reason why, but I will give both of this palette from Colourpop and KathleenLights an A, and I will highly recommend them. I like this one a little bit more for its color, but Dream Street has a little bit better formula in my opinion. But still, this also has a really good formula. I mean, all Colourpop palette has a good formula. So like I said in my Dream Street review, Colourpop Shadows has an A- to A quality, but Dream Street is just an A+ for me for formula. So yeah. Next is the two Supernova Shadows. I have Astrology and Constellation here. Constellation is a really nice champagne with a lot of pink in it, like a really light rose gold. It's beautiful on the eyes. It's what I have on my inner corner right here. I feel like in terms of formula, it's a lot softer than Astrology. Astrology is like a sister to Telepathy. That's what it's called, right? The Super Shock Shadows from KathleenLights and Colourpop a very long time ago. Literally Telepathy in a liquid form. This one is a lot more metallic and more glittery, and this one is metallic but not as glittery. It has a lot softer formula. This one is a little bit more chunky and more glittery, but they both looks very metallic on the eyes. But if I have to compare them to the previous Supernova Shadows, I feel like these two they step it up a little bit. If you don't like their previous Supernova, maybe you will like this, because in my opinion, this works a little bit better and a little bit easier than their previous Supernova Shadows. And this is the one I really want besides the eyeshadow palette. Like, this stands out for me. This is the one I really eyeing to buy, and I'm glad I picked this one up because it's a really gorgeous color, and I actually really like this as well. Like, it's a really nice gorgeous color. But if I have to choose only one, I will definitely choose this one because it's just a very unique shadows and really stands out on the eyes. It's a very cool liquid shadows, like you need them. The next two are the Lux Lipsticks, and I believe these two both are in cream version. I think this one has cream in it, but this one doesn't. The label is really weird on this one. They always have inconsistent labels. Some of them have this type of label, some of them have just name. It's really weird. I don't know why they do that. Scorpio Moon is what I have on my lips right now. It looks like this. I feel like it's a sister to Lumière and Lumière 2. I believe they don't have Lumière 2 anymore, and I feel like they do that because they already have this now. And Ultra Matte Lipsticks is not Kathleen's favorite. She prefer the Ultra Satin lips a lot better, so I get why she discontinued the Lumière 2. And this one is What's Your Sign. It looks like this. It's a really gorgeous nude. Even on my skin tone, it still looks really nicely, like it doesn't wash me off. It's a really nice nude with a peach undertone to it, but it's not too peachy, like it's a nice peachy brown. With a lot of peach lipsticks, I have to be a little bit careful for my skin tone. If it is too light or too peachy, it will look kind of weird on me, but I personally love these lipsticks. I feel like it's a really nice nude lipstick for me, and I feel like it will be a really good nude lipstick for a lot of different skin tone because it looks good on Kathleen and it still looks nice on my lips, because sometimes a nude lipstick on her kind of looks horrible on me sometimes, but this actually looks really nice. And formula wise, even though they both cream lipsticks, What's Your Sign is a lot creamier than Scorpio Moon. By the way, I have a comparison between the matte and the cream Lux lipstick. If you want to see that, I will link that video up here and also down below in case you are interested. But Lux lipstick from Colourpop in cream version is still a pretty matte lipstick. At the end of the day, it feels creamy and moisturizing, but they dry down more and more throughout the day and looks more matte at the end of the day. Scorpio Moon is like a nice creamy matte, but What's Your Sign for some reason feels a lot more creamy and looks a lot creamier than Scorpio Moon. They both feels really nicely on the lips. I mean, I love Lux lipstick. They are amazing, and if you never tried them, I will suggest you to try with these two because they both really nice color. The last one from the collection that I picked up is on the cusp, the Super Shock Cheek. It's in pearlized finish. It's like the name suggests, on the cusp. It's a peachy warm highlight but has a slightly silver like white flip to it. I feel like this is the one I have on my cheek right now, and even on my skin tone, I was kind of afraid that it will look a little bit too light for me, but actually I feel like it's not. It doesn't really have a lot of base color to it because when I look to the front, it doesn't really shows up, but when you turn your cheeks, you can really see the highlight there. But it is a really nice peachy silver kind of highlight. I really like this. Very blinding and highlighty, but at the same time melts into the skin and doesn't look chunky, or it doesn't look like it sits on top of the cheek. It kind of melts and blends into the skin. Fire, I really want to get them, but at the same time I don't know if I do really want them because I don't need a lot of highlighter all at once. So maybe in the future I will get them because that also looks really nice, but compared to this one, from what I've seen, that one is not as blinding and a little bit more subtle on the cheek and not as wet looking as this one. So if you want something a little bit more subtle and has a little bit more golden undertone, not as silvery, maybe we'll prefer Fire more than on the cusp. So that's my review for the entire products that I picked up from this collection. Like I said, the only thing I don't have is Fire, the Super Shock Cheek, but everything else I do really recommend. I love everything about this collection, the formula, the product, the color, everything, the packaging, and since it's Kathleen's collection, I obviously need to pick them up because I love Colourpop, I love KathleenLights. So yeah, that's the review part, and this next part is the swatches. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to swatch all of them on my hand. I'm going to hand swatch them, and also I'm going to swatch all the eyeshadows on my actual eyelid, and I'm also going to swatch the Lux Lipsticks on my lips. So if you want to see the swatches, then here it is. So before we jump into the swatches, here I am applying a concealer as my eyeshadow base. Then I set them with a translucent loose powder. I do that for every single swatches here, which is kind of a lot. And in between swatches, I clean my brush with these color switcher things. So we'll start with the Aries first. Aries is a really gorgeous vibrant orange shadows, and Aries is a really gorgeous orange in my opinion. Even though I hate orange, it looks fiery, like it's gorgeous. It's kind of in between satin and shimmer or metallic shadows in my opinion. It looks like satin but has a lot more shimmer gold flip to it. It's not a duochrome whatsoever. It has a lot of shimmery gold glitter in it, but it's very finely milled that you cannot really see it. It's just not a metallic shadows, which I know if it's a metallic shadow it will look fire, but I think with this formula it just makes these shadows very wearable. The formula itself, it's not as soft as the other shimmer shadows from Colourpop, but it's still really nice, and this in particular looks shows up on the eyes with a dry brush. Next is Taurus. This is one of the softest matte shadows from this palette. It has that soft matte formula from Colourpop. It's a really neutral medium brown and it blends really nicely on the eyes. It's just a really nice transition shadow, especially for my skin tone. You can create warm tone look, cool tone look, or neutral looks with this on your crease. And it's not as powdery as the other mattes from this palette, so it's the softest but rests more tightly in my opinion, maybe, I don't know. And then next, Gemini. This is a really intense light gold. It's not a very warm yellow base gold. It has a little bit of taupe in it in my opinion, I don't know, but the formula of this is really nice, and it also has that nice soft creamy formula. That the Cancer is a very light pink, and on me personally it is a little bit more sheer. If I want the shadow to look very intense on my eyes, I have to apply this with a wet brush or my finger, because like I said, it is a little bit more sheer in formula. But even with a dry brush, it is a gorgeous color. Leo is a very beautiful shadow. It is a lighter orange than Aries, and it has a lot more gold shimmer in it, but it shows up metallic. You have to really pack them on your eyes to be able to see that, but once you really pack this on your lid, it looks really nicely. It actually is a duochrome shadows, I think. It has the peachiness, oranginess to it, but it also has a gold flip. It's really beautiful. I love Leo. The next is Virgo, and it's a really nice deep brown that I think you really need from this palette. I mean, you have a black in this palette, but if you don't really like black to deepen up your whole look, this is a really nice alternative because the Capricorn has a lot of gold, glitter in it, even though it doesn't really shows up all that much on the eyes, but you can still kind of see it. So I just think it will look a bit weird if you apply them on your crease. So I really love the fact that Kathleen incorporated a matte deep brown in this palette. And it's also very neutral deep brown in my opinion, because it's not very warm, it's not too cool. So you can use this with the orange or with the blue or with the Sagittarius or Scorpio. I mean, you can use this with any color from this palette and it will fit really nicely. Libra is the satin shade from this palette, but it's not actually a satin shade in my opinion. It looks very matte, but it's not a completely flat matte. It's a very light pink. It doesn't really shows up that intensely on my eyes, but I can still see them, and it really is a beautiful pink for your transition shade. It has a really nice formula. It's very soft, just like Taurus. Scorpio is one of the most gorgeous shadows, and it's one of my favorite from this palette. This is the one that you really don't need a wet brush with. With a dry brush, it already looks very intense and metallic and shows up really nicely and pigmented, but with a wet brush it makes it a lot better. Obviously it's very deep, but at the same time when it hits the light, it looks like a very light, it has a very light pink reflect, and I really love that about this. It's very deep but very wearable at the same time. Sagittarius, it's one of my favorite as well. I love this, but to me this one is the driest formula from this palette. This and Aquarius actually has the driest formula from this palette. I don't know what it is about this, but it feels different from Virgo and Taurus. When you touch them, you can instantly feel that it is a lot drier in formula. It's soft, but at the same time feels very dry, and it's the one that I have a little bit of trouble blending on the eyes. Yeah, it takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more time, because when you apply them, it can stick into one part of your eyes and it looks kind of splotchy on the eyes. But once you blend them like really nicely, you just have to blend them a little bit more. It actually looks really nice on the eyes. It's a lot easier to blend if you dip your brush little by little, yeah, like you really tap off the extra excess product and apply them little by little and really build the color up. That way it looks really nice and blends a lot easier. It's still one of my favorite, even though the formula is a little bit trickier than any other Colourpop shadows, but it's not the worst by any means. It's still a really nice shadows, but compared to other mattes that I've tried from Colourpop, it's not as soft and it's not the easiest to blend. That's my opinion. Capricorn is a black with a bunch of gold glitter all throughout it. I am a Capricorn, so I'm very excited about this shade in particular. Not just because I am a Capricorn, but also because I love black. Black is my favorite color and I love black shadows, and I love the fact that it has a lot of gold glitter in it, even though you can really see it on the lid. But I feel like if you really pack them on with your finger with tapping motion, you really stamp it on, you can still kind of see the glitter. The glitter will be on your eyes a little bit, and after a few hours it did disappear. So maybe if I use a glitter glue and I pack this on really nicely, maybe the glitter will stick better into the lid. I will have to play around with this a little bit more, but it is a really nice shadows though. It is very pigmented, but don't expect to have very black shadows, because while it is very pigmented, the base shadows like the black is not that black. It's like a very light black. I don't know, it's just not the blackest black shadows I ever tried, but it's really nice black shadows and it blends really nicely as well. I don't have any trouble blending this with Sagittarius. So if you want a nice black shadows that are easy to blend, this is one of them. The Aquarius is a really unique blue in my opinion, at least for me. I don't have anything like this in my collection yet. so I really looking forward for these shadows in particular. This has a similar formula to Sagittarius. It's a little bit drier than Virgo and Taurus and a little bit more gritty, not as soft as Virgo. It's also a little bit trickier to blend, but once you blend them, it will blend really nicely. You just have to be patient with this and take your time to blend them, but once you do that, it looks really nice. I don't know, I feel like I don't make any sense, but they do work. It's that type of shadows that, you know, when you put them on your lid, it looks very pigmented and intense, but once you blend them, it will kind of disappear and fly away all over the place. So with those kind of shadows, you just have to apply them little by little. Don't apply too much all at once. Pisces is a really gorgeous blue. I know a lot of people will gravitate towards these particular shadows from this palette because it's really bright and intense and quite unique. And also in terms of formula, it's different from Gemini and Leo and all of that. It's a lot more chunky, it's a lot more glittery and chunky, like the glitter particle, like the shimmer particle in it, it's a lot more chunky, but it's very pigmented and shows up really nicely on the eyes. I feel like the chunkiness of it makes the glitter stands out a little bit more. Maybe that's the reason why they have this kind of formula, or maybe it's just the blue, because I also remember the blue from her Morphe palette also have this very similar formula like that. That one also a little bit more chunky, but it's still very soft. Like it's not a harsh shadows or a dry shadows at all. It's chunky, but it still really has a really soft creamy formula to it. So that's the swatches. I swatched them yesterday and it burns my eyes. I actually got inspired for this eye swatch part because of Shay. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm sorry if I butchered her name. It's Shay XO. She has amazing channel and she always swatch, like do a live swatch. I honestly don't know how she managed to swatch all the shadows on her eyes every makeup releases. Like, I don't know how. It's crazy to me, but watch her videos. She is incredible, but I'm not that good at talking, if you haven't noticed, so which is why I don't do a live swatch. This is the best I can do, and I hope you can still enjoy them and see the color and how they perform on the lid instead of just on the hand, arm, because shadows can look different when you swatch them on your hand and when you actually apply them on your eyes. I feel like I can tell how the formula works, how the shimmer shadow works on my eyes by swatching them on my lid, and you can really see how it looks, how the color looks on the eyes, how they perform. But for the matte shadows, the way you apply them, like I apply them with a flat shader brush first and then use a blending brush to blend them to the crease a little bit more. And different formula, you have to work with them a little bit differently. Like I said, the Sagittarius and Aquarius works a little bit different for me because they are a little bit drier. I feel like packing them on and then blend them is a little bit trickier. With Virgo and Taurus, I feel like you can do that, but with Sagittarius and Aquarius, the better way to use them is blend them little by little and build the color with a blending brush, and then pack them on if you want to use them all over the lid. You cannot really tell how the performance works until you actually use them on specific place on your eyes or use a specific brush or specific method. Just a disclaimer, you cannot really judge an eyeshadow looks based on only the swatches. Some of them looks kind of weird on the eyes, but after I apply them, like I use them for this look, Sagittarius looks really crappy on this swatch, but after I use them on my eyes to create this look right here, I feel like they works just fine. So that's the swatches, and now it's time for the makeup tutorial on this look right here. So welcome to the tutorial part. I already have my face makeup on except the highlighter because obviously I'm going to try the Super Shocks highlight from this collection. But for now we're going to finish up the eye first. I'm very excited because in person the color looks way prettier than in pictures. So I'm glad I decided to pick this up because I think I'm going to like this. I honestly don't know what kind of look I'm going to create, but I just know that I want to use this Capricorn shade because I'm a Capricorn, I love black, and this Capricorn shadows looks very cool. It's black with a bunch of glitter in it, and I'm going to pick up the Libra, I think, and dust this all over the crease, like a bit higher up as our transition shade. Oh yeah, by the way, I already primed my eyelid with the Colourpop No Filter Concealer and already blend them in with a damp beauty blender. So yeah, that's my eyeshadow primer for today's video. This shade is actually like a satin shade, but on the eyes it just looks pretty matte in my opinion. It's not very satin. I think I'm going to dip into Sagittarius immediately with a smaller blending brush, this one. See, I don't know if you can see that there's a lot of powder, but I don't mind that actually. I'm just going back to Libra and blend the edges a little bit more. Next, I think I'm going to dip into Virgo and apply this, which is this brown right here, and apply this on the outer edges of the eyes to deepen up the outer part here. That's pigmented. Then with whatever left on the brush, just slightly blend the color into the middle of the crease a little bit, not really into the inner part of the crease, just stop around there. And flip the brush and blend. Then I'm going to apply Capricorn, this one that I'm very excited about, and I'm just going to apply this all over the lid with my finger. I actually will apply the Capricorn a little bit more with a flat shader brush just to perfect the shape. Then I'm going to blend the crease, the black and the pink with this brush right here that we use for Virgo, but I'm just going to clean this first. Then go back to Sagittarius, just going to deepen up the pink on the crease a little bit more and to further blend the color. Then go back to first brush, apply Libra a little bit more. Actually, Virgo, you know, the brown that we put on the outer part of the eye is kind of like, you cannot really tell that there's a deep brown there because I obviously covered them up with the black, but it's, I don't know, it's first impression, so it's nice to just put a lot of color just to see how they works. So as you can see, the black, the Capricorn kind of disappear a little bit, like because we blend the crease and it kind of disappear a little bit. So I'm just going back in with Capricorn and intensify the lid a little bit more and use my finger and apply them with the tapping motion so I can have as many glitter as I possibly can apply to my lid, which is not much, but still, at least I have some glitter there. You know what, I think I'm going to apply Cancer to the inner part of the lid just because I want to use as many shadows as I possibly can. You know, Cancer, this one right here up top, on the top. I honestly don't know if I like that. That's not looking great. You know what? No, I'm going back in with Capricorn and cover that up because that's not the look I want to achieve. Like, I'm just going to apply a little bit so it will somehow match. I have black shadows here but not here. It's a mess. So for my lower lashes, I'm just going to blend Taurus all over my lower lashes with this brush right here. And kind of connect this into the upper part of the lid there. because I have a little bit of fallout from the Capricorn in my inner corner, applying Taurus actually fixes the problem a little bit. Like, it kind of helps to blend Capricorn all over my lower lashes and deepen them up a little bit. So, but then I'm going to apply Aquarius. I don't know if it's going to look good or not, but I don't know. This is the one that really stands out for me from the palette. Like this row right here, like these 5 are the shades that makes me that convince me to buy this palette. Like, I'm just going to dust this very tightly into my lower lash line. It's not as vibrant as it looks on the pan, but that's obviously because I applied Taurus first and then applied the Aquarius, so it's kind of, it looks different. But if you look very up close, you can still see a hint of blue there, and yeah, I like them. Then I'm going to apply Capricorn a little bit. No, I'm going to apply Virgo a little bit just on the outer part of the lower lashes, just to deepen them up a little bit more. Right there. Then I think I'm going to apply Scorpio right here to the inner part of my lower lashes, just to bring back some of the pink magenta color to the lower lash line. Like only that much. So now for the inner corner, I'm going to use this Supernova Shadow in Constellation. You can obviously use a tiny brush, like apply them with a tinier brush, but I'm just going to apply this right into the inner corner from the applicator. I'm going to blend them a little bit with the brush, like with a small detailer pencil brush. I think it's a detail brush actually. I'm just going to blend the edges a little bit. And now I think I'm going to use astrology. So I'm just going to use this as, you know, to create a wing liner. I think I actually don't know if that will look great, but maybe it will. I'm just going to apply them to the back of my hand first, just a little by little, and then apply them as a liner with a small bent liner brush. This is from Coastal Scents. So I already used astrology and created a wing liner here off camera, because I cannot create a wing liner on camera. It's just, I'm going to look like this, and so I applied them off camera, and I already applied some mascara. I know, I feel like with these looks, it will look even more cool if you applied falsies, but like I said in my previous videos, I rarely applied falsies. And now we're moving on to the face highlight. I'm just going to apply them first with my finger on this cheek right here. I actually quite like the Super Shock highlighters. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, not everyone loves this highlight. And I like Super Shock highlighters in days where I don't really have full face makeup on, and I just draw this on cheeks with my fingers. It's just really easy and fast, but the result is quite intense. Also, I'm going to apply this to my brow bone. And now we're going to apply this with a brush. This is the small fluff brush from Colourpop. So now I'm going to apply lipstick, and I'm going to use Scorpio I'm going to use Scorpio Moon. It looks like this. So that's it for today's video. That's the review, swatches, and tutorial. I feel like it's a very long one, but I hope you enjoy this. I know it's a little bit late, but maybe there's still one of you who are just thinking about getting them and still trying to find a review. Maybe this will help you, hopefully. Everything I've tried I do really enjoy, and I highly recommend each one of them, and I will give this entire collection an A+. But if I have to only choose one or two, I will highly recommend the eyeshadow palette and the Supernova shadow in astrology. But honestly, just pick everything you can get from this collection, because every single product that I've tried works amazingly for me, and I do really love all of them. And by the way, if you want to see my review and my 3 looks using one palette with the Dream Street palette and the whole collection, I already have that on my channel, and I will link that video up here and also down below in the description box. By the way, I intend to do another videos with this palette. I will make a 3 looks using one palette video with the Zodiac palette as well. So yeah, if you want to see all of that in the next couple of weeks, don't forget to subscribe. The subscribe button is just right down below, and I will highly appreciate that, because that will mean so much to me. And also, if you do like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy this, I hope you like this, and I hope I can see you in my next video. Bye guys. Into the look, which I honestly a little bit of shine. I don't know if that makes sense, but since I have a medium skin tone, it doesn't really shows up all that much, like I said before.